Hello everyone, this is Moses from Wilona's Cave. This is going to be the first episode of How to Play Solo. I am using Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The last time I played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay was the first edition back in the late 80s. That was the first role-playing game I ever played. I've only played solo my entire life. Well, there was one time I played in a group, I didn't like it. So I have over 30 years of experience only playing solo. So I'm going to try my best to demonstrate how I do that with this educational / campaign of our rolled up on Hedge Witch that I rolled another name of in another chart of Hayden, spelled Heldin, but when I looked it up it was pronounced Hayden. She is a Hedge Witch. Didn't really make sense to begin this in the town of Ubersreich. And I believe that's how you pronounce it as well. If not, let me know in the comments. Also, this is not a How to Play Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition. I am learning as I go. I'm reading a lot. This is very nostalgic for me, and that's why I chose this. This is, like I said, my first role-playing game I've ever played. I was allowed to play Warhammer in the late 80s, but not D&D, because D&D was satanic. So, good thing they didn't open the Warhammer books, but they didn't, luckily. Or maybe I would have never played role-playing games. So like I said, over 30 years, or what is it, 33, 34 years, I'm not too sure, of experience that I'm going to put into this, hopefully long sessions, or a long series of sessions. Maybe I'll just continue going with it. But it's not going to be like the normal sessions I have, where they're highly edited, and they're thought out, and etc. This is going to be lightly edited to show you my thought process. You know, I may talk to myself even. I'm talking into a microphone, but I may just talk to myself or think out loud, so you can see everything I have or everything I'm thinking of. The most comments I get are, how do I do this? So I did a poll on my YouTube community channel, and it was overwhelmingly a yes, that people want this type of series. So I'm not just going to make it a boring series of just how I do it and show you the charts. We're going to go through a story here, and I have no idea what's going to happen. None. At all. Our PC here is named Hayden. I rolled up on Hedge Witch. She can perish 2 minutes from now. I have no idea. Especially with Warhammer. The way you can just, become unconscious or perish very, very quickly. I have no idea. The dice will tell me. And we're going to be using Mythic as well. Mythic Game Master Emulator. I'll show you a lot of the charts on the screen in a little bit. So we're going to be using Mythic. There's all other types of systems and oracles you could use as well. There's Scarlet Heroes, Ironsworn, and others. A lot of other things you could use. You could even make up your own if you want. But I'm going to be using Mythic. Now, how Mythic starts is we have to do a scene setup. So that is the only control you have, is the beginning scene of each session. That's it. Other than that, we're rolling with it. So I have no idea what's going to happen. You begin with the scene setup, and then we roll on that to see if it's been modified. So the scene setup I have is Hayden, our Hedge Witch here, is in the city of Ubersreich to meet an old friend, a barkeeper named Ingo. And I'm going to have this as the tavern right here. So I want Hayden to enter this tavern. Now, I like this background, and I randomly rolled up on Hedge Witch. So it doesn't make sense why a Hedge Witch would be in this city. They like to be in caverns and caves and huts and outside because, if I remember correctly, they're using illegal magic or something like that. They're witch hunters are after them, pretty much. Or, even civilians don't like them, most likely, because they're using magic illegally. So you have to keep that in mind. That's what I am keeping in my mind right now, that it doesn't make sense. Now, the narrative in my mind has to be that she isn't supposed to be here. It's unsafe. So for her to be here, it must be very important. Then the narrative has to deal with that. It has to go with that notion. We have to think that way, or I have to, at least, while you're watching and listening. So now what we do is we roll up on the scene setup. So here are some of the charts I'm going to be using for Mythic Game Master Emulator. I can resize them or move them around, especially when I get the dice tray in here. So we need a roll on right now is to see if our first scene has been modified. Now our chaos rank always starts at a 5. So if I roll a 5 or below on a d10, then the scene has been modified. If I roll on an odd, it has been altered. And if I roll an even number, it's an interrupt, which is really going to change the scene I just stated. Okay, now I have a d10 in the tray, so let's re-roll and see if it's a 5 or below. An 8. Okay, no. Nothing's changed. Unaltered. Completely. Good. That's good. So Hayden wants to enter this tavern to meet her old friend, Ingo. And I think, the streets are kind of empty. It's getting really late. I don't think I need to roll anything for stealth. But if it was the middle of the day, I might have rolled for stealth so no one recognizes me or sees me. So we're going to enter the tavern. Okay, now Hayden is in the tavern, and here's Ingo right here. Before we continue, let's see why she is here. Now, there's a lot of things you could do with that. One thing I'm going to do, though, is using Mythic again on the action and subject table. And I'm going to roll on an action, a D100 roll, and on a subject, a D100 again. And I'm going to try to interpret those two words to find out why she's here and risking her life, pretty much, entering the city of Ubersreich. So let's see why she's here. So here's the Mythic screen again. There's the event meaning action and the event meaning subject. I'm going to roll for an action and a subject, and we're going to see what happens. So let me re-roll. 79, which is intolerance. Interesting. Intolerance. Subject, re-roll. 52. Dispute. Intolerance, dispute. Okay, well, what I'm thinking right now is she had a good... must be recent. This must be recent where the city of Ubersreich kicked her out. They became intolerant with her because they disputed that... Okay, they became intolerant with her because they disputed that she's a witch. And she's done a very good job, let's say, covering that up, hiding it. But I think she got caught using a spell or doing something and was caught by a civilian or a guard. And now there's proof, so they became intolerant with her and disputed that you're a witch. And they threatened to throw her in prison or end her life. But she probably ran away because she's still alive. She ran away, and now she's coming back, let's say a week or two later, to talk to her old friend, Ingo. So that's what's going on. So this is recent. So recently she got kicked out. So she's speaking to Ingo. She probably will say something. Now, see, this is where a lot of the editing comes in to make it look more narrative. But when I'm playing, I think a lot. And as you should as well if you're playing solo. So she's talking to Ingo. Ingo notices her and says to her, "Oh, Hayden, you're back. It's been a couple of weeks, let's say. Although you can roll on, let's say, a D4 or a D8 and roll for weeks, for how many weeks she's been gone. You've been gone for a couple of weeks, Hayden. I'm surprised you're here. Hayden, presumably, if I was Hayden right now..." And before I continue, when you're playing solo, you should be thinking cinematically. You should be thinking like you're the director, and the actors as well, but you're watching something happen. So right now, if I was Hayden, I would ask, is anybody here? So she asks, Ingo, is anybody here? Now let's go, and instead of just saying yes or no, let's go very quickly and ask the fate chart. Now it's getting pretty late. So I'm going to assume it is very unlikely that there's someone else in this tavern. Our chaos rank is 5. So how this works is the higher I go, the more likely it's going to be a yes answer. The lower I go, the more likely it's going to be a no answer. So we're right in the middle because it's the beginning. So we're at a chaos rank of 5. I said very unlikely. So you go right in the middle, column and row. And from 25 and below, it's a yes. There is someone else. Let's say one person. There is someone else here in the tavern. Let's find out. 62, it's a no. It's a no. And we'll get to these little numbers later on when they come to. So 62, there is no one else here. So we are alone. So that's how he answers, at least. So Ingo responds, no, there's no one else here. We're alone. How can I help you, Hayden? Now Hayden probably wants a clearer name. You see, this is something I would have never thought of doing. That she recently got kicked out of the city. That's where the story changes completely. So if I got recently kicked out, and I'm assuming I want to get back in, but why would I want to get back in though? Because I'm going to be tortured or maimed or whatnot. They don't want me here. Why would I want to get back in here? Let's roll again. Let's roll an action and subject again. Let's see what happens. So action, D100. 91. Pursue. That's good, maybe. Or maybe not. Subject. 84. Status quo. Oh, well, she's pursuing coming back. She wants to get her life back. So I thought it would have been maybe something where I could have interpreted to where there's a family member or there was a certain artifact or something else she needed, something important, but it's not that. She just wants her life back. So she responds that way. Ingo, I just want my life back. Is there any way I can do that? And this is where sometimes you don't need to roll. There is no way to get your life back. They know who you are, and there's no way to change that. So that's how he responds. Ingo responds, there is no way to come back, Hayden. They know who you are. They know where you live. They've already burned down your house. I'm just including that. I'm assuming, you would usually burn the witch's house. Then he continues, there's nothing for you here, Hayden. Now, Hayden would be distraught. If I was Hayden, I would be distraught. Okay, now they've been talking a while, and, the lamps are still lit. Candles are still lit. There's a fire still going on. There's light still coming through the windows, so I'm assuming he's not closed yet. This is where you could think, well, realistically, does someone else come into the building or into this tavern? Let's find out. And we go back to the fate chart. So the chaos rank is 5. The odds is somewhat likely. So 65 or below is a yes. Now let's find out if someone shows up. Oh, man. Okay. Wow, I really roll a lot of 1s and 100s. Right now, the ones that are watching my channel that for a while now, it's been over a year now since I started this channel. They're laughing right now, or most of them are laughing, because I roll a lot of 1s and 100s. And in my own house rule. So now is a good time to explain this chart. In my oh, man. In my own house rule, if I roll a 1 or 100, they are critical answers. Critical. So, how this works now. So this is a 65, right? So a rank of 5 with somewhat likely as the odd. 65 to 13, that little number, is a yes. And below 13 is an extreme yes. 66 to 94 is a no. And above 94 is an extreme no. But when I roll a 1 or 100, I do a critical extreme yes or no, just to make it a little more spicy, I guess. So, someone comes in. So let's say if it was a 64, which is a yes. Or let's say a 50, it's a yes. I would have just had some kind of civilian come inside the tavern. And maybe, the narrative has to change. She has to hide her face, etc. And maybe I'll roll a passive perception check for the civilian to see if they notice Hayden. Something like that. But an extreme yes, under 13, would have been a guard that enters the tavern. and knows who Hayden is. But at a 1, my own house rule of a critical extreme, yes, someone special comes into the tavern. And the only thing I can think of that should be a critical extreme yes is a witch hunter. And we will find out what happens and continue playing How to Play Solo with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplaying 4th Edition on the next episode or session, however way you want to say it. So that will end the scene that a witch hunter is coming through that door right now. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we're not done. We do have bookkeeping to do with Mythic. I'll put up my final Mythic paperwork on the screen so you guys can see it, and I'll put it up throughout the video too, hopefully if I remember. So, any new NPCs we met Ingo, which is the barkeeper. So, threads. In Mythic, we go through the NPC, which we did. Now, a new thread is, let's try to get back into the city. Try to become a citizen again. I don't know how that's going to work out for her. I don't think it's going to go very well, to be honest. So we went through the NPC list, then the thread list, now the chaos factor. Remember, we're at 5. So remember, the higher you go, the more likely you're going to get a yes answer. The lower you go, the more likely you get a no. So you have to be careful on the wording of your questions. But if the session becomes chaotic, hence chaos rank, the number goes up. So has this session become chaotic? Oh yeah, we found out we got kicked out of the city because we were caught doing, let's say, a spell. And now there's a witch hunter entering the tavern that we're in right now. So the chaos factor is going to go to 6. So once again, I'd like to thank all my subscribers that purchased my first ebook for Wilona's Cave short story series. The links will be in description. And also, I hope all of you are getting a little gifs, a little idea of how solo role-playing can be. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of these episodes. And let me know in the comments any other questions or anything in specific you want me to go through in the next session. Maybe I can do something like that. That might help people more. So if there's something specific you want to see done, you know, I could throw that into the mix because it's not coming from my head, it's coming from yours. And that makes it more random. It wasn't my idea. It was your idea. It was your question. Let me know in the comment section below. Happy gaming, everyone. Bye.